Shavua tov, guten vach. If you remember, we used to tell stories over and share family stories. So I remembered a story of my grandfather, and it's a very simple story. It's nothing complex, but it's a good reminder. It reminds us of how we should be living. And the story goes as following, that once upon a time there was a prince, and this prince was having issues in his palace. King was having issues with the prince because the prince was doing what he wanted to do. He wasn't necessarily doing what the king wanted of him. And there was talk amongst the townspeople, and there was a seller of eggs. There was this person in the marketplace who sold eggs, and he had all his eggs stacked up really nicely. And what happens is that the person selling the egg is speaking to his chaver and saying, you know, that the prince has issues, and he's going into all the pratim of what the issues could be. Now, what this man, the egg seller, didn't realize is that the prince actually could hear what was being said. And he got a little bit annoyed. And he goes over to the egg seller on his big, beautiful white horse. And he maneuvers his horse in such a way that it breaks a bunch of the eggs. And the egg seller gets very upset. And he says, "You just broke my eggs." To which the prince said, "I'll pay for your eggs. I'll pay for your eggs. Tell me how many eggs you had there. How many eggs did you have there that I broke?" And the egg seller turns to the prince and says, "I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to work it out. I don't know how many eggs I had here today." And the prince looks at him, and really he smashed the eggs because he was annoyed, but he looked at him and he says, "Such chutzpah, mamash, such chutzpah. You're telling me that you know more about what's going on in the palace, all the diyukim of what's gone on and why it's gone on, and you don't even know how many eggs you have that you're selling?" So my grandfather always tells over these stories, and this happened on Friday. He reminded me of the stories, and he said it's so important in our life. You think we know what's going on in people's houses? Do you think we know what's going on in people's heads? We have no idea. The Yetzer Hara tries to make a trick on us that we could mind read. We know what that person's thinking. We know what's going on in that person's house. And it's all Yetzer Hara. And it damages us. Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara is not just a nukuda where we damage others. Lashon Hara is that we damage ourselves. We don't know what's going on in people's heads, in people's houses. We don't know really what's going on with other people. We barely know what's going on with us. Be'ezras Hashem, my beautiful friends, we should speak a Lashon Tov, and we can reflect on this story that we should speak a Lashon Tov to be healthy and to be giving and to create more love and foster an attitude where we don't be like this egg seller. We never know what's going on. Be'ezras Hashem, we should work on ourselves, build ourselves, have a wonderful week. Shabbat Tov, my beautiful, beautiful friends.